just so you know. So we're gonna go through. We're gonna talk about some things. We're gonna pretend like around this round table here of 10 people that we've added an extra one, 11th one here, which is the number of people that will see this Facebook Live, not only live but also in the recording. So it will be recorded, and we'll be going forward. But today we're going to talk about social proof, topic that's thrown around in the social media space.
Oh, everywhere.
And talking about results and how to not only get social proof, but how to put it to use in your business. So with that, I'm going to, Jenna, why don't you say hi to everybody, because that's kind of the way we started. And then.
Hi, my name is Jenna Apgar, and I'm here with David Roberts, and we are at the Richardson Plano Networkers Group on our Friday training, and we're going to be discussing results you can see, with the idea of covering, one, how to even get people to show you, give you feedback and give you those results, how to measure them, what ideas to incorporate in them, and then what to do with them once you actually have them in your hands, and what different aspects they need to include.
Right. And so for those that are on the Vision Challenge, just to kind of tie things together, and I know we have Randy here, he's actually here live, so he's getting to see this live as opposed to watch it on a video. And we do have a studio, we have a studio audience here, so feel free, guys, to, you don't have to be quiet, you can interact with us and everything. If you have questions or something isn't clear, it'll benefit us as well as anybody here to just
throw a sugar packet at us.
Just kind of chime in. But we talk about, if anything were possible, back in the Vision Challenge in the beginning, your why, and then if anything were possible, what kind of future would you imagine? And we've gone all the way from your ideal client to your audience to a number of
How
things.
you work with them,
What is your superpower? A number of things like that, and topics that maybe would be things that you might want to pursue. We're actually going to do this again, just for those that haven't participated. We're going to do this again. We're going to launch the beginning of the year with the, hey Luke, welcome, with the Vision Challenge, and then we're going into some alignment things. So we'll talk about.
We didn't get it right the first time. Should we do it over?
Yeah,
well,
you should do it regularly anyway in case things change.
Yeah. So I mean, revisiting or recycling this isn't redundant. So the key is today we're going to, if anything were possible, what kind of results would you like to see? What kind of proof? We all have a good, well, hopefully, I mean, you have a good 30-second advertisement, right? You have an advertisement that says, this is what I do, right? And I do this. Well, it'd be nice to know that you have customers who would say, if asked, or prospective customers would assume that you can do that which you say you want to do, right? That's called social proof.
That's what Chuck with
Social kudos. Yeah, and that's what he does. He has tools, and if you Chuck Leblow, who's in our group, if you hear him, he's talking about how do you get your best
customers to talk about you.
About you.
So
That's your best advertising. That's the endorsements. How many people know Yelp? You go to Yelp when you're looking at a place to eat. You go to if you look at the reviews on things. That's
Hi, Virginia.
Yeah.
There's Virginia.
Hey, Virginia. You just didn't want to come see us today in person. There's people sitting around the table here, Virginia, that are missing you, by the way. Anyway, so we're glad you're online this way.
Hi, Virginia.
Zip is here too. See, so we have a lot of fun in this group. But as far as the Jenna, why don't you talk a little bit about as you see it, and we'll kind of tie it back.
I think first is Chuck doesn't necessarily always go into how he does different things, or when he talks about how do you get those results. So one was the exercise we did yesterday is you need to have a very set client experience. So how are they going to find you, and then how are you going to take care of them from the point that you acquire them as a customer throughout your relationship, and then when you're done with them, then what? So Chuck uses applications that he builds. I tend to use my CRM processes. You can use verbally, hey, you just ask them, can you write a review? So many people don't want to ask. Maybe they're afraid of the review they're going to get, or they're asking too much. But sometimes it's just asking. If you don't ask them, then you're just hoping, and then the only reviews you're going to get are like the horrible ones, the worst experiences.
Well, and actually, interestingly enough, I want to park on that one for a second, because one of the things is, how do you get the results? How do you get that information? And the first thing is, that whole thing is, how do you get people to write reviews? And the other thing is, if you don't know what kind of review you want, in other words, if you don't know what you'd like them to say, if you don't have that vision in your mind as to what would be a good review, then I don't know how many of you have talked to, in my business, I work with, work with CEOs, business owners, and I've got several thousand contacts on LinkedIn, and probably almost any of them that I've worked with, if I said, would you give me a review, they would probably give me something, right? But the idea is, in those in the Vision Challenge, we're going to this place, we're on this bridge from the future, and we want to be building an image and social evidence, if you will, that we are doing the things and build our momentum around that which we intentionally have envisioned or designed as what we want our customers to experience, right?
Well, and part of that, I think, is kind of what I mentioned in the email, is making each one of your processes smart, and making sure everything's measurable. So number one is very specific, S for specific. If you don't know exactly what that is that you want them to say about you, then you can't get it. The second one for M is measurable. So one way that you can make anything measurable is, obviously there are going to be items that are, they're just kind of in their energy, they're just in the air. But there are quantifiable ways to come down with something so that you can measure. And before you start working with a client, you can say, this is your baseline. So we all know this is your baseline. Like in the military, it's the first thing you do in basic training. How many push-ups can you do in 2 minutes? And it's going to be a really sucky number. But then over the course of 6 to 8 weeks, by the time they're going to test again, and they're going to show you how far you've come.
Right.
So now you have something that is extremely measurable. You had cancer, now you don't. That's specific and measurable.
Well, and let's pause. Can we pause
You
there?
can pause. You like to
I'm
pause.
Yeah, because one of the things is, okay, so we got specific and measurable. Let me ask you this: is anybody here, if you were getting a review on your business today from a client, what type of evidence or result would you like that you could measure? In other words, something that was quantifiable. What would you like them to say? Does anybody have one that they?
Well, I mean, when I start with a client, the very first thing that I do is sit down and set expectations. I
Right.
have this slogan that says life is about meeting expectations.
Sure.
You can't meet them if you don't know what they are.
Exactly.
So I'll do that with my clients. Say, okay,
Okay.
I think I know what the job is, but I want to hear it
Okay,
from you.
so
What
that's
is
the
it that you want to
okay.
get?
So let me help you a little bit here.
But
So
then-
that's the process. What is
but
it
then at the
specifically? Do you want them? What do they tend to focus on?
Did I meet those expectations?
Yeah, but what expectation? I mean, in
The
other words, if they're going
expectations maybe
to
get a proposal out on time.
Okay.
A little bit after that, maybe did we win it? Okay, if we didn't win it, why? Did it have anything to do with something that I did?
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to know that.
So he helped me achieve
Correct.
this result in this amount of time frame.
Correct.
John, you
Similarly, a big segment of what I do with Legal Shield is voluntary benefits. And very often you'll hear somebody say, well, I'm never in trouble with the law. I don't need law. I don't need legal help. But just having an executive or an employee benefits advisor saying, okay, Joe was able to increase his productivity by X dollars.
that's what I'm fishing for here is increased productivity.
Because he was not distracted from the child custody issue or the identity
Sure.
theft and so forth.
Right. So that's what I'm getting at is again, and if anybody else, did you say you had one? Did you?
I've got a really good one.
Okay. Well, I don't want a preamble. I just want just this specific thing that they would measure and what that would mean to you.
What it would be, okay, so
Yeah.
I went in to help somebody with their business. Her business was running. Within 2 hours of my leaving, she had 15 calls for appointments and 3 walk-ins.
Okay.
That's more than she had in the past 3 weeks.
So you created an environment to where they were before not getting any traction in the market, and after Karen came in, then she
She managed to, yeah.
managed to see that increase. So again, those kinds of things. So Now we're back to S and M. See, I didn't forget, my ADD doesn't kick, but, so now what is the A, Jenna?
Assignable, who's going to do it?
Oh, yeah, there you go. You mean somebody actually has to do this? Yeah, when we work together, I think of things and then she goes and does them, so that's, not really, almost, but,
Well, in a consultative situation, you're right, assignable, there may be certain things that the client has to do
Yeah.
in order for you to achieve
Or-
your assignment.
Yeah, you can't reach the goals that you and the expectations you've set for that client if they can't even do what you've set up.
Exactly.
But there are some people, like I know my husband does not want to delegate anything because it's a trust issue and a control issue. He knows if he does it, it gets done right, and if he assigns it to someone else, it could go either way.
Maybe, right. Interesting.
So after that, we have R for realistic. Results, if you're going to set expectations, they need to be realistic. You're not going to take someone selling Mary Kay as a distributor and within the end of the year they're going to be a multi-millionaire. That is not a realistic expectation of results that you can set out for your clients. And then T, time related, specific time when the results can be achieved. So when you let your clients know up front that we're consulting and we're going to start on January 1st, we're going to work really tightly together for 3 months, and you're going to be able to see the results within 12 months. You've set a very specific timetable, and then you can go through and you can measure it at different aspects. And part of that comes back to measuring. If you don't have some baseline, you can't measure anything. So you have to have that time period, but during that time period, you need to be measuring.
so.
Anybody questions?
So we have that, these are the things that the attributes of those things that you're expecting your clients to recognize in you doing what you want to do, that they also are giving you that feedback. So hopefully, then if you had an expectation that, okay, I've gone in and I've created this environment where my client has saved $1 million, you would want them to say that, I worked with Randy and he helped me save, $1 million in this kind of time frame with these kinds of,
The
this
time
kind-
frame is important too.
Yeah.
Because if you say we saved you $1 billion company $1 million over 10 years, that's not fantastical, whereas saving the million a year is.
So that becomes attributes. So who has a question about how do you understand this?
This
Anybody?
is like the first step. So
Yeah.
before you even ask for a review, these are the things that you need to handle up front to make sure you get a review that's worthwhile.
Right.
Any questions there? Okay, so that second step is making sure you get the review, right? You have to ask for it, but now you've set the expectations so everyone knows what's necessary and you have a higher chance of having that happy client. Then you just have to ask. It can be a handwritten note. It can be a phone call. Clients like phone calls and handwritten notes because usually calls and letters these days are not good. Or just something as simple as sending them an email. So Virginia Beaver spoke at this Friday Richardson Plano networking group, and she asked everyone, can you sign your name down here and give your phone number or your email for a preferred contact space. And what she did afterwards is she was actually working with Chuck, and Chuck had set up a little app for her, so 2 landing pages that said, was I good or bad? So we kept it really simple and straightforward. She sent you a Google shortened link that said, click here, you go to this land page, you say good or bad. If you said bad, it took you to a form so that you could tell Virginia exactly why you think she's awful. We love you, Virginia. I hope no one said that about you. Or you could click the green button, and then it said, that's wonderful, I'm so glad to hear it. I would love if you reviewed me on Facebook, Google+, or Yelp. And now I know I went to Facebook to review her myself, and she had 3 already. I added 1, and I saw other people added them afterwards. And people went even so far as to go and comment on each other's referrals of hers. So she was able to, spend one day, 10 minutes talking at a Wednesday thing, get everyone's stuff, and then turn around and make that into good reviews for her to get more clients in. And it was all about just asking. Any questions on that, or?
I of course work mostly with tax clients,
Sure.
and when I meet with a client the first time, I sit down and we introduce ourselves and I say, okay, what are our expectations? What are we gonna try to accommodate today? And if I do a good job, I'd like you to recommend me. And then about halfway through, I ask the same thing again. And when we're all done, I'll say, do you think we did a good job? Is there anything else I can do, and would you recommend me? And we've been very lucky, because a lot of people, when they're doing taxes, don't want to tell anybody else about it.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If you come to us and you owe $130,000 worth of tax, you don't want your neighbors to know that.
Right,
Fair enough. Fair
yeah.
enough.
So one of the,
Very recently, I've been very lucky in that I've gotten 8, I believe, reviews on Facebook and on LinkedIn and on Yelp. Went there, they did a great job for us, I recommend my friends go there, and they have, in fact, the most important thing is they have brought me new clients.
oh,
you
yeah,
married
so that's a good reason to get them, right? You get, okay, and that's actually the best way to get endorsements and drive business, right, is to have people, referring you.
But the virtue of our type of business, it really has to be a referral thing, we can't.
Right. Yeah, you're not out advertising,
Yeah.
No, I've even seen some other marketers, they've talked about how people don't want to review them. So I was just speaking to somebody who does what I do up in Washington, and she does it specifically for realtors. She's just narrowed down, and she's gotten really great on that. And she asked one of her best clients, can you write me a review? And she's like, no. You're my little secret. I'm not telling anybody about you. I don't want my competitors. She's like, okay, fine. What about someone who's not in your zone? She's like, I ain't,
No. It's gonna get back to somebody.
And some of them will even sign, some marketers will sign like non-compete clauses just to get those reviews and that feedback and to be able to do things just so, like, look, I promise you, I will not work with anybody or even have the client so far as pay them for that zone representation.
Wow.
So after you get the reviews, now the fun part, what do you do with them? So how many people in here have reviews right now that they could work with? Got 1, 2, 3? He sees his hand up.
Third-party reviews.
Third party.
Nothing personal.
Nothing personal.
So not reviewing for you,
Not reviewing
but reviewing for
Legal Shield.
Legal Shield. Okay, and that's
That's
actually an important, but see, that's an important point, because unless you are working for Legal Shield Corporate, same thing I would tell to somebody who's a farmer's agent, or somebody who is a Mary Kay cosmetic sales, or sells Nerium, or Amway, or anything where there's a product that's other than yourself. In my business, I am the product, essentially, and the network and the people I bring to the table. But in a lot of businesses, it's not you. And so when you're representing a product, you got to understand that you're still really looking for endorsements and results that you achieved. You want, because people follow people.
LinkedIn is a great spot for that.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I love
That's where I have mine.
sending some of your referrals to LinkedIn is because it travels with you. So if
Sure.
you're in one business today, you can still use that review towards another business that you're working with, and that's going to stay with you. Any other questions? I had some examples I pulled up of what you can do. So this is a friend of mine. He runs Semperfi Heating and Air Conditioning. I don't know if you can see. There you go. So for those that go to the VIB, Eric, he went and he took his review and he put it on his WordPress site as a blog post. And he had the guy write out, took his review, put it on there from wherever he left it at, Yelp, somewhere. Put a picture of the guy himself. It's very branded. He's military. You got like the URA, the Marine Corps thing going on. And then he turned around and posted that on Facebook. So you can now take that one review that you get from Yelp, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Google+. By the way, thank you. Nobody uses Google+. I've heard some people in India do. But it is really used for reviews. It pops up. Here's your regular results in Google, and then there's your Google Plus reviews on the side. So if somebody actually searches for you, that pops up and you want it to be positive. So don't forget about Google Plus because it doesn't seem like something somebody uses. But he's been able to take that review, copy it and give it credit over onto his WordPress site or his blog post site, and then put a picture on it. Anybody knows Eric knows that he did not make this image. And doesn't have the capability to Photoshop like that. but have the image made, and now he can serve that on his website. So he can then send that out to people. He can show people, here's my reviews. But then he can send it back out onto all his marketing channels. He can advertise it or organically put it out on Facebook. He can put it on Instagram or wherever else and just point back to his content for more information. And you can even make them specifically for Facebook. So here's one I tossed together. So Esther is one of the people that's participating in the Vision Challenge. And she sent me an email. So an email, it's nice to get a review by email, right? You have the words, but then there's no attribution, right? It's not on Facebook. It's not on Google+. Nobody can see it. She said, thank you and David Roberts for starting a new service and tool based on the wisdom you both share with me. I look forward to participating in the vision and journey. I used my favorite tool, Snappa, because I don't have to get into Photoshop and deal with how long that takes me. And I was able to put together a branded image that can be easily used on Facebook, Instagram, wherever I want to put it, LinkedIn. It looks impressive. It grabs their attention. It's branded. It's got our company name on it. It's got her picture. And I've now taken something that was private just between email, asked her for permission to use it, and now I have something I can use that looks pretty. And I can even toss that on as part of content. I can add it to a website. You know, here's what I do, like a long form sales page, and, you know, intersperse these reviews from people on it. So at any given point during the sales process that somebody's looking through, because I think it's like 70 or 80% of research is done on a business online before they call you to make that sell. So while they're on your site deciding whether you're worthwhile or not, they're seeing, oh, this person liked her and this person liked her, and I can relate to this person and their story. And now you've taken someone who was thinking about you, thought it was a little woo-hoo, and now they're like, okay, you know, I can try one out. Let me just try one out. So you have them in the door, which is the hardest point of the sale, is just getting them to make that first point of contact.
Yeah, I have to correct you though. It's not woo-hoo, it's woo-woo.
Woo-woo,
Yeah.
okay.
Yes.
We're
She
woo-hoo.
had a little woo and a little
Woo-woo,
military.
like
Oh, okay.
kind
That's
of like a-
hoorah. We're
Yeah.
talking Marine Corps. It's very, very specific.
Yeah, and Army is ooh-yah or something like that.
Oorah and hoorah is Army. And Air Force and Navy are just like, what are y'all guys doing?
Yeah.
So anyway, so as far as
We got off track there.
Sorry, I distracted. That's my ADD kicking in again. So we're woo-wooing. No, I mean, I think that is the importance of the referral though, is to really think about who your audience is, and ideally, and again, for those that haven't been on the Vision Challenge or whatever, that ideal client and that audience, your ideal audience that you're looking for, that's where you want those kind of testimonials and things to come from, because obviously that's going to attract other
More of
people
those.
that are like that. Not that you don't want anything you can get, but the idea is, one of the things we've kind of hit on, it's kind of been an underpinning thread, and I think it's fair to say, right, Jenna, is that focus. I mean, focusing in, knowing, having that clear vision as to what that
All reviews
future.
are good, but great reviews are the people who you want.
Some reviews are
Right.
better than others.
Yes. John, what was your question?
This is probably more directed at people in the financial services arena, or people that
Yeah.
work with a product or service that's in the regulatory environment. We're different in Legal Shield because we're independent associate, but part of our associate agreement is that things like ads and things like that have to be approved by corporate before it can be. So my question would be, how do you, in terms of using the tools that you're talking about, any suggestions on that, on making that non-threatening?
So LinkedIn, like, do they regulate how somebody reviews you on LinkedIn?
No, and
No,
that's
they can't.
that's the cop out and the excuse that I hear from all kinds of financial people and even people that are in the healthcare industry, or maybe that they have in referencing personal experience without making a specific claim on your business
Yeah.
from your professional point of view.
Right.
If I say John Moore said, I walk on water, then John Moore said I walk on water. I can say that to anybody I want. On the other hand, if I say I walk on water, I darn well better be able to prove it.
And here's the thing, don't be afraid of corporate approval. Make sure that you create a checklist in something like Evernote or something and say, this is what corporate's looking for, this is what corporate doesn't want. And go through and, make your little image that you can turn around and just make sure it fits that. Did you get a signed off thing saying this person, I can use their image, I can use what they've said. It might just be model releases. With my daughter, I use these all the time. It's really simple and they're free on the internet to get a basic release.
See,
So making sure you have that and making sure, like you said, you've made no specific claims. You're not saying, so my husband's an attorney, I get where some of these claims are coming from. He cannot promise you and guarantee results. What he can honestly say, because he has measurable pieces, he knows, he counts. I've done this many PI cases, it's over 1,000 now, and I've only lost one. So he can say my
results.
That's
results
a quantity.
are
That's a measurable quantity.
99.9% dismissed or one, or I can't remember what the words he uses, but you just have to make sure everything fits within the legal guidelines. If you leave that as a hurdle, I don't want to mess with corporate, then you're not going to be able to have it. But corporate had to do it for some of them, and they'd probably be more than happy to help you get your results published. They just have to pass the legal hurdles that they're being held to because they are a large corporation that people are happy to sue.
Right.
And you can make it less threatening too. Like my clients, a lot of the stuff that I work with is very confidential. Like it's medical related, it's
Well,
for
actually,
religious purposes, whatever, it's very confidential. And so I use first names and last initial and the city where they are. So there's no face associated with it. Nobody can look them up, but it's there and they gave it to me. It's not.
yeah, that's a great point. Probably one to talk about when we talk about
see that on Yelp all the time.
results and social proof. The most powerful endorsement is one where somebody will put their name to it.
That's why
Okay, or
Facebook,
where they
Google
can't.
Plus is nice.
Right, so it's tied to that. However, that being said, if you are taking somebody's endorsement and retelling the story, then you absolutely, same in my business as well, as working with somebody on their dream story or their future, that's pretty, and all that picture of what the future looks like. I'm not going to be talking about that. I'm not going to be also replaying their dreams and goals and aspirations. So you have to not only monitor your information for the legality of it,
Yes.
but also the appropriateness or the ethical release of information that might occur. But again, the best thing to get is really somebody who voluntarily
Yes.
says, I think Randy Sabix is a great guy. He's really done a good thing for me, and that's what you want.
Yeah.
And I mean, if they say it on Facebook, or they say it on LinkedIn, or they say it on Google Plus, or they say it on Insta, I mean, their profile is attached to that, right? You don't have to. You're not adding anything. It's like their signature. They signed off on it.
Or get a video. Videos are awesome. I know Chuck for
Yeah,
a
Chuck
while
does
was
a lot of
trying to get
videos.
videos. But if you can get them on video, a bunch of marketers, they'll have events where people come in and they'll have a pretty kind of like branded or fun background. They'll have something like what we have set up. You can't see it on Facebook, but they've got the lights and they've got the camera all ready. So the people at the event, they throw a big party, like a barbecue, for
What do you
their
think
tax
about the barbecue
clients.
today?
Having a station
How do you
set
like
up-
the Schlichting group? Oh, they're great, man. I'm drunk and I'm having a good time. No,
barbecue
X.
foaming at the mouth. But setting up a station like that, if you're going to take
Yeah.
the time to put together a party, have a station where they can sit down and do reviews and have it manned. So have a one photographer next door doing the fun pictures, and have a space that's separate for them to do reviews that you can turn around and post, and then turn around and have the model release, sign it off right there.
There you go.
So, and then taking that, and David and I have been talking a lot about content for the Business Growth Network, and I'm like, if you're going to spend it once, if you're going to take the time to make all this great content, same thing with reviews, make sure you milk it
Reuse.
for all it's worth. Make sure you get it on all the platforms. Make sure you get it on your website. So for consultants like you and like Robert, putting together case studies. So you don't even necessarily have to have the company with them. They don't have to necessarily sign off. Obviously, if they sign off on it, it's better. But just saying, this is where this company started, an anonymous company in the healthcare industry or the legal industry, and this is the revenues they started with. We did X, Y, and Z, and now they're at these revenues. you don't need their permission necessarily to do that. I mean,
Right, if
depending
you're not
on,
releasing names.
yeah, if you're not
Right.
releasing names,
It's a
if it's
notional
not
story.
an identifiable story, you're not claiming anybody. Certainly, it's always better to get
Sure,
help
we can
than
do
you
a little
can, yeah. But you don't need that.
Right.
Just show an example so that when the next time that you're sending a proposal to a client, you're sitting down with them and even getting authorization to give them a proposal, you can send them 3 case studies.
Right.
Here's what I've done for similar clients that you can, expect similar results from. That comes back to the, realistic results. Putting to those case studies can take a little time, but it's good for you. It's certainly going to help you get more clients, and it becomes publishable material.
Okay, so here's the deal. We're at a time check. We've got to, actually, we're at
Yeah, I gotta leave
12:50.
in 6 minutes.
So we've got to wrap this up. Jenna, why don't you do the cues? You want to do the cues for the folks that are on the Vision Challenge, because we're doing double duty today. So
Yeah.
hopefully this has been helpful.
So for the editable PDF that you've been checking on me every single day, it was really simple. Identify, when you go home today, everyone identify 3 clients. Where do they start? Where do they finish? And then, like a bonus, reach out to them, get them on the phone, Skype, I'm a big fan, take them to lunch, but that comes from
She likes
industries
to
where
eat. She just likes to eat. That's what.
I'm in industries where you have to really court your clients. But get them to sign off on it.
Yeah.
Get their honest feedback too, both negative and positive. Find out where you can change your process to make it better. For the public posting, it was really simple too. As a result of working with me or my company, my clients experience results. Let everyone know. And if you can't define what your results are for your company, I mean, that can be really hard. I'm ADD minded. I'm like here, and everywhere, and you're just trying to handle the clients you have, but sometimes you're not focusing on just focusing.
And let me add to that for those of you who may be on this journey and starting a new company, or starting a company, or restarting, or taking your company to the next level, which is also one of the things, is it's okay to post what you would envision your customer saying about you. In other words, that ideal post. And I would suggest for those, again, that are on the vision journey, who hopefully at this point in the challenge has identified their ideal client and their audience, and now think about that audience and say, what would, if I'm serving that audience, if anything, I'm now in that future place where I am serving that audience, what do I want them to be saying about me?
Right. How will I know I
Yeah,
succeeded?
because you may not already have those. You may not have those 3 clients.
Well, let me stop you. If you don't have those 3 clients, there's a really simple way to do that. Do 3 for free.
Right.
Cover their cost and be like, I'm going to cover this for you. I know some of you can't, but if you can, cover 3 for free. You can be completely upfront about it. This is not about being dishonest. That could be 3 guinea pigs that just help you work out your processes. You've labeled out what your ideal process is. Now let's see if it works.
Should we confess now?
Oh.
You all are guinea pigs. We're actually doing this for free. No, the beginning of the network will always be free, but we're actually testing a lot of things for this market with this Business Growth Network, and with Richardson Plano Networkers, and with the Vision Challenge folks. So that's why you're going to get a lot of, we're going to be throwing a lot of stuff, free stuff at you as we go through this, so we can begin
With
to
mistakes.
refine with the
Well,
mistakes and with
I
the, but
just
that's
offer my services to score for free, which you have to be free to do score.
Yeah.
And you gotta be old.
They want
So
to
I
be a
go
mentor.
online.
I want to be a mentor.
And I've also, there's a group in Dallas called the Genius Den. It's an entrepreneur startup thing, and I offered my services to them.
Let me tell you something. I've been retired for 11 years and doing my own thing in one form or another. And I will just tell you, there's all kinds of people who take free stuff
Right,
from you.
that's
Yeah.
right.
So
Well,
you
I
won't
wanna-
have any
but
lack
I wanna
of.
target.
Yeah,
the
well,
ones.
that's precisely what I was gonna say, is target those people
targeting.
and
But
make
see-
sure that they really are benefiting the most from you,
Correct.
not just take
And
because
they
it's
will be
free.
influencers.
They are
Sure.
influencers. So that's one. You picked out an influencer.
Right.
So if you've picked out 2 that are influencers, which I totally get, but the third one, maybe make that one your ideal client. Fish out who is your ideal client and be like, 3 months for free.
Yeah, that's true.
So anyway, this is great. What else do we need to do with the online folks for a
So
wrap?
just make sure if you have any questions, even though it won't be live anymore, you can ask them down below, and David and I will answer them. And
Thanks for hanging in
share
there,
and hang
Virginia,
out.
and everybody
For
else.
those of us that have procrastinated and haven't gotten really started on the Vision Challenge, what's the catch-up process?
Just
The
walk through
catch-up
your email.
process.
Start at the beginning.
Yep. Everything is still going to be